Right, this is my journal. And I try to write in it every day. I've been quite consistent with it since about, September last year. So about 6 months now. I used to journal a lot as well while I was in the UK, but it was an on and off thing. I'm consistent with it. I decided to write day one for the 22nd of March, spring equinox, and I'm fine with that. I was on day 211. So yeah, that was 7 months of journaling consistently, pretty good, and it's really useful. As you can tell, it is that quarterly video that I make where I reflect on the last 3 months and I talk about my plan for the next three. So let's go through this. I haven't edited the UK vlog yet from last summer. I've not been motivated to edit videos at the moment, so as I'm more motivated to focus on writing and reading, I'm going to do that. No pressure on myself. I watched through the footage and it wouldn't be that difficult to edit, honestly. It's probably maybe like 3 or 4 hours of work to get through that footage and make a video, but I've been focused on other things at the moment. It's not really something that I've been naturally motivated to do. I have to bring myself to edit. The last one was recorded during my winter holidays and I absolutely loved my winter holiday. I feel much more like myself when I'm on holiday, which does sound like an excuse. Sounds like trying to invent reasons not to work, but don't worry, I'm working consistently for the same company now for almost 3 years. It's going to be 3 years in May. It's not a job that I love to do, but then again, I don't think I know any jobs that I would love to do, so put up with it for now. I bought a bit of land. It's not really great, to be honest. It's really far away. It's not easy to get to. It needs to be cleared. That's going to be a bit of work. I think next Sunday I'll be clearing it a bit, and don't think I can really plant vegetables there because to tend to them I would have to go there regularly, and yeah, it's a very off-road. Don't want to put my car through that every day. I can probably make it good enough to camp on or plant some trees, grow over the decade. But yeah, for a first bit of land, at least it was a learning experience, knowing got to keep it close to me. By the way, if I look tired, it's because I just woke up 4:30 in the morning, so I'm recording this about 20 minutes later. I get up early. I love the morning hour, favorite time of the day, really. I realized that the time that I spend online and not offline or, working on projects, a big distraction away from also spiritual development. And one thing I am happy to say is I have been consistently going to church every single week. I even went yesterday to the last weekly session that they have at the sanctuary. 6:30, really nice experience. And I've been going every single week, normally on Sundays, but every now and then I'll go on a Saturday. And I haven't missed a single week since I've been practicing again as a Christian. I've had some interesting conversations with people about faith, and part of me does question I don't want to say the word dogmatism, I don't think it's appropriate here, but you do have to be fully dedicated to one faith, and it does appear to me that you cannot appreciate the full extent of what religion has to offer unless you completely dedicate yourself to it and forego all other religions. And to me, I find that there are interesting ideas that go beyond the Christian Catholic framework and a lot to appreciate at least at an intellectual level. Doesn't mean that I'm practicing other religions, no. In terms of my weekly practice, I go to church, and I've been to a few retreats, some spiritual retreats for young Christian groups, and those are really enjoyable days. It's really fascinating. Now I've been slowly moving away from being chronically online and not doing anything else except watching YouTube, occasionally playing old school RuneScape, and just spending all my time on a computer, all of my free time. I've gradually been moving toward more spiritual development as well. I do feel like meditation and certain concepts within Buddhism and Hinduism would help me to evolve spiritually, maybe a bit faster. Aside from meditation and Om chant or different breathwork techniques within Buddhism, as far as my actual practice goes, it's normally prayer and going to church. I do feel a degree of a spiritual calling in my life, calling out to me to become more involved on a spiritual level, and I know I've got that coming up in my life. Now, the practice of spirituality has been gradual. I felt much faster pace of learning in my last year that I was in the UK, but I decided to get my life on track. At the age of 23 years old, it was 4 years ago, that's when I started to feel like evolving spiritually really fast. But dedicating myself purely to Christianity doesn't feel like I'm evolving as far. That's what it feels like at the moment. At least I know that by spending less time on social media or doom scrolling or being online helps to evolve me a bit. I kind of already know what I need to do to get greater development, but I keep putting it off, keep prioritizing other forms of content that are more entertaining. I keep telling myself, I just need to do this or watch this before I go to the more spiritually advanced things, all the distract. Every week I've been writing weekly recaps of what I've been paying attention to online, which is an interesting exercise because it requires me to flesh out my thoughts a bit more, consider the bigger pictures, realize what really does matter, what doesn't matter. It's been a good exercise. I've been enjoying the weekly reports and a few additional writing. Every now and then I watch a bit of content that really gets my brain going, and then I have to put it down in thought. I know it's going to contribute positively towards the writing of my book, all of this writing exercise. Some bits that I've wrote I feel are better than others. I'm still learning. It's a bit of a strange experience though to say at the moment that, Venezuela and Iran, all of these global conflicts going on, the expectation that I have in the long term for these conflicts are that some very rich elite, the board of directors of energy companies that, go beyond nation who set up the oil extraction and refineries around the world. I feel like they put it this way, I feel like the top 20 richest oil oligarchs are going to make more money from the arrest of Maduro than the bottom 20 million Venezuelans. It's not to say that Venezuelans aren't going to see an improvement to their lives now that Maduro is out. I just think it's going to be extremely tapped. In other words, of all of the potential life development that they could have could just be purposefully halted because vultures are going to siphon profits for themselves. And I get this feeling about Iran as well, though it's more complex. Unfortunately, I do not feel like the peoples are being liberated. And to some extent, they're being liberated, I must admit. But there is a maximum cap in terms of how much economic freedom they can get. So I always ask myself, what's like the long-term picture for the majority of the people that are affected by these conflicts? Very strange happenings in the world. Who's pulling the strings? I ask myself. So while I have been writing weekly recaps, and it does contribute somewhat to the book I'm writing, it's not a direct contribution. It's not actually putting hours into the book that I am writing. It doesn't contribute as much as if I was opening up my document that I've got with all my writing and actually sorting through the info or coming up with plot ideas. However, I have already accepted the fact that that's the difference between the year 2026 and the years 2027 and 2028. For me, 2026, this year, is used mostly for reading. I want then the next 2 years to be more dedicated to writing. That's how I plan it, at least. I also want the following 2 years, 27 and 28, to be years that I watch TV series and movies related to the topics that I'm writing about, so I can get an idea for what's already been done, but also to see the writing style, see how the characters play out, see what I appreciate, or see what I don't appreciate about what's currently been done, so I can craft my own story accordingly. So that's the plan. This year is mostly for reading. But I don't feel like I've got enough free time. I really feel like I don't have enough free time. I like these early, quiet hours in the morning when I've got more energy before I go to work to get my tasks done, such as reading. Right now I'm reading this book, Operation Gladio, Unholy Alliance Between the Vatican, CIA and the Mafia. And it's crazy the amount of information that there is. Just open it on a random page, you can get an idea of what I've been underlining that stands out to me. At least a third of this book is underlined because of how mind-blowing, insightful it is. It's really scary to think how well detailed this book is and to understand what this whole operation was and how it played out and how you can still see ramifications of it every day. Anyway, I like starting the day off by reading. This requires the most attention, and I know that after work I don't have as much brain power to dedicate towards tasks, so I prefer to do the things that require focus before work, and I try to leave exercise for after work. Something else in the last 3 months I've done is create dating profiles, but I haven't had any luck yet, really. Not been working for me, but I'm going to keep. I know it's a numbers game and you've got to give it time to match with as many people as possible, see who matches back and then see how it's going to work. Let's see what happens. I haven't had much luck, to be honest. I guess I do feel lonely. It'd be nice to have someone to cuddle. I think biologically there are certain things like the physical contact that give you a release of different hormones that put your mind at ease. And I'm getting older, 27 now. Eventually I'm going to reach 30. I know that the biological clock kicks in where it says, get on with it. You haven't had children yet. I think men are a bit less pressured for this than women, but I know the main thing I will ever do in my life is try to be the best father that I possibly can. That's my biggest goal, is to see my children grow up and enter their own healthy relationships and have their own children. If I can see my children live in a stable family household with grandkids that are growing in a good household, I'll know that my life is complete. And so to make an advance towards the relationship thing, I've been creating online dating profiles, but haven't had any luck yet, and I do feel lonely, so I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to create accounts on different sites as well. I started the year off with the end of the winter holiday. I finally cleared most of my playlists, watched later on YouTube, my X bookmarks and Spotify podcasts that I had saved up. I had cleared most of it, so I started watching some of the more important videos on my watch later playlist on YouTube. I should have been getting around to, but I've just been putting off. I finally started watching the easy peasy method for quitting pornography, and I couldn't believe that the simplest and best solution was just listening to an audiobook. It's 4.5 hours long. I didn't expect it. The logic of it is very simple. What do you think is going to succeed in terms of a method for quitting? Is it going to be something that's difficult, requires a lot of self-restraint and discipline and willpower, or a method that's easy, it's actually enjoyable and doesn't rely on willpower to quit? Out of these two methods, one of them is going to work much better than the other, and in the long run it's much more sustainable. And that's what this audiobook is all about. I managed to go 35 days without watching any pornography at the beginning of the year. I did unfortunately fall, and it did happen at exactly the time that the audiobook said it would, during periods of stress. And now that the spring has started, I'm going to get back onto the easy peasy method. And now that I've had a long time without it and I've seen that it works, I realize, yeah, I can live my life without having to be dependent on this addiction. And I'm glad I found what the actual real solution is: be able to quit without any stress. With regards to the addiction itself, now other life stresses can prompt a response, but let's see. I'm considering changing my job, not necessarily the role that I do as a technical writer, but I am thinking about changing company. I know there are lots of great remote work options that are based in the US and the UK for technical writers, where the amount of pay that I get for mid-level, now that I've done this for over 2 years, is about 4 or 5 times the amount that I'm earning right now. So even if I got paid that and only worked half the hours, it would sort my money earning problems much better. It would give me the ability to move about whilst working, which would be awesome, to travel and work at the same time. It would also free up my free time so that I could focus on my projects and my life goals, which I think would be incredible. So I will be updating my CV and applying for other jobs. My next investment is Bitcoin. So you probably know, in my last tri-monthly, my quarterly recap, I'd sold all my Tesla stock and made a profit of over 2,000 euros in 6 months, which is pretty good. Now I'm invested in Bitcoin. I think we're at a low point right now, $70,000. I don't expect it to ever go much lower than this for the rest of time. I plan to sell it when it reaches double, at least double. I don't know what the next peak is before it goes down again, but I think it has great potential to reach at least 150,000, so that should more than double investment. So I can turn an original 2,500 euros into potentially 10,000 just to buy points and to sell points. Fascinating. That's the strategy that I like to do with investment. Very few move all in, and with massive time frames, like many months, or potentially even years. Like my biggest crypto investments be probably close to 8 years, comparing the buy point to the sell point. So that should give me the economic freedom to get more free time and dedicate myself to my project. Portugal suffered a terrible storm at the end of January, beginning of February. The winds were 140 kilometers an hour. I'd never had a night like that before in my life. How much wind there was, scary. And I woke up to see a lot of destruction outside, a lot. I start driving towards work, no electricity, without internet, without anything, and the roads are completely blocked by trees. I realize, I might have to only be able to go on the motorway, which is what I did. Surprisingly enough, despite the power cut, the toll booths were still working, ironically. Anyway, I go to work, and I'm lucky because the motorway on the way to work is the side of the road that doesn't have all the trees fallen on it. But the other side, completely blocked, complete standstill traffic, because no cars can get through because of the trees that fell on the motorway. I was lucky because at work they had Starlink, they had generators, and they had petrol, so I could still do my work. And those were some important days of work. Stressful days of work because I needed to get this work done by these deadlines. Fortunately, we still had conditions for me to get this work done. I was surprised to see how well the community came together. People clearing the roads, helping their neighbours, replacing tiles on roofs, donating food and clothes after this crazy windy storm that caused a lot of destruction and power outages in the area that I live in. And then there were floods because of the amount of rain. So you had terrible storms and weeks of rain and flood. Portugal really suffered a lot. And I felt that whenever the summertime or the good weather was coming, Portuguese people are going to really appreciate it more than any other year because of all of the destruction that happened. So yeah, the number of fallen trees that you still see here in the area is crazy. Still a crazy amount. Terrible storm. Never seen worse. I've been going rock climbing once per month this year. I might be bumping that up to 2 times per month this year. I really enjoy it. And after this storm, I've been feeling I do want to spend more time outdoors and in nature. More time offline, of course. My friend, who's been really getting into rock climbing, suggested that we go actual rock climbing, because here in Portugal there are some good spots in the area for that. There are already some paths that have been pre-laid out with, I don't know what you call the things that are in the rock that you can put your rope on or attach the, I can't remember why they're called, expresses. I can't remember in English what they're called, but it's really cool because my friends that are getting super into it, they've got the equipment, invited me out to spend time in nature yesterday, and that was an incredible day. That was a really, really good day yesterday. So for the beginning of spring. I couldn't have chosen a better beginning than a day like that. I was out of home from about 11 till 5 in the afternoon, so 6 hours that we were out there. And I only climbed up once, but I got a massive pump in like the arms. I still feel it, massive pump. I enjoyed it. So I've been getting into that. Since the winter holidays, I've only had 2-day weekends with one exception, a 4-day weekend. And on that 4-day weekend, I wrote 7,000 words about the Epstein files because 3 million documents were released. And putting the picture together, I think the next 3 million will be a lot more damning. And even if there isn't a controlled and deliberate release of the file by the Department of Justice, I think AI hacking is getting sophisticated to the point where within the next 2 to 3 years, I think most of the information of these forms of corruption will be revealed. Yeah, even if there are attempts by people in government to stop this from happening, I think it's going to happen inevitably anyway. I don't think the world will be the same afterwards. So we've got big things coming up and a lot of revelation. It's very strange that so many things that conspiracy theorists were looking into and paying attention to became validated and certified by a lot of the recent revelations of information, like in the Epstein file. A lot of people would have been called crazy for suggesting certain ideas like secret societies and whatnot, but then when you see the involvement that Epstein had with Rothschilds and Illuminati, my weekly reports, I could videoify them, which means after writing them, I could just, get my mobile phone out, record myself reading what I wrote. I've been editing the videos of the posts involved, make it much easier to consume as content. I could do that. I think that's a cool idea. See how motivated I am to do it, but I might do that. I had a chat with an old uni friend as well within these last 3 months. We're adults now. We've got to be responsible and money and pay taxes. But all we really want is free time. It's all we want. We didn't understand how much free time and freedom we had when we were at university. I look back to that time at university as an extended holiday. I just wish I worked a few years before I did that. That's one of my biggest regrets, is going straight to uni as soon as I finished school. And it feels like everyone's pressured to do so. I think it's a much smarter idea to take an apprenticeship in a real life practical skill, get paid and to learn at the same time, whilst in the free time finding out what you do enjoy doing in your free time. And you could find a course that would contribute towards it, but only doing so if you realize that the course gives you something that you can't learn for yourself on the internet. The thing I miss the most about university is all the free time. One of my biggest regrets about university was not playing more video games. I forced myself not to, even though I was doing a video game development course. And now I look back and say, shouldn't have forced myself not to play. I would have enjoyed my life a lot more if I did. Anyway, I miss all the free time. And I chat with my old uni friend and he feels the same. I took my friends that I do calisthenics with to my favourite restaurant. And that was a good experience. Really enjoyable. They had a good time. We decided to watch Kill Bill at the cinema this week. And that's the first time I go to the cinema in a long time. Watch a re-release of movies from 2003. Not many movies come out these days that pique my interest, so I rarely go to the cinema, but it was nice to make an exception for my sleep schedule. Instead of waking up at 4:30, I allowed myself to stay up until really late because it's a 4-hour movie. It was on a weekday after work. We celebrated my mum's birthday recently. That was a really nice time. We went to a good French restaurant. Food was great. I watched The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is a short story that George R.R. Martin wrote about a pair of characters, Dunk and Egg, who this all plays out about 100 years before the story of the Game of Thrones, The Song of Ice and Fire, the main story. And I had read the book, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I felt that it was portraying the book very, very well. In the first 4 episodes of the series, the last 2, episodes 5 and 6, didn't do such a good job. It deviated quite a lot from the books. Not a lot, but it deviated from the book unnecessarily, in my opinion. I am looking forward to seasons 2 and 3. It was nice and short. You got a picture. It was just a bit over 3 hours of content, so it was actually less watch time than the Kill Bill movie. For the first 120 pages of the book, they could have definitely slowed the pace of the post-battle helmet removal. I think they could have executed the shock reveal better. The fight itself wasn't exciting, and then using a massive flashback fill in the episode's time, I don't think was a good move. I don't think it was a positive contribution. Oh yeah, and my workmates are planning to do runs every Wednesday, which is exciting. I like running. I haven't run much since the marathon last year, and they were running at a 5-minute 30 pace, which is at the edge of my limit. Like, I can't really do much more than that, and many more kilometers than what we did. So I think running with them, getting my body used to that sort of pace and rhythm, will be a very good form of practice. So currently schedule looks like calisthenics twice a week, running now at least every Wednesday, and then going rock climbing once a week, maybe, or every couple of weeks. Still want to do trail running. How would I like the next 3 months to be different from the last 3? Well, Diet is the first point. I only lost 4 kilos so far this year, and I was hoping by this point to have lost more. I lost 3 kilos in January, only 1 kilo in February, and then none in March. And so I know I've got to feel hungry more often. But I also want to make sure I'm getting enough protein so that I don't lose much muscle mass while I'm maintaining an exercise regimen. So plan is to eat a lot of meat, veg and fruit, and cut the carbs. Most importantly, just to be in a calorie deficit. Exercise wise, I want to do calisthenics twice a week and running with my work colleagues every Wednesday. I also would like to do rock climbing more often, more than just once a month. Might even become once a week. Might be on the weekends, might be on Thursdays. We'll see what happens. I want to keep trail running as well. I really want to do trail runs. I've got an enroll in them. All of the trails that I had enrolled in so far this year were cancelled because of the storm, so I want to enroll in some more. Evening routines are extremely important. After work, when I get back here to the apartment, I think if I spent the time offline, stretch, meditate, and do breath work, it would put my mind at much more ease and prepare me for going to bed and then getting ready for the next day. And it would be a good way to end the day if I did this sort of routine. I think it would help me. And in terms of spiritual development, meditation is the best and thing that makes me evolve the most, I would say, spiritually. So doing that regularly compared to the last 3 months, I didn't do it regularly. In the next 3 months, if I could, that would be really good. Of course, spending less time online. I've been doing very good over the last 3 months in that regard, but I know that there's still room for improvement. There are still times that I doom scroll for no reason, but it happens less often than it did before. I want to get an ARE membership. ARE is an organization around the teachings of Edgar Cayce, who was called the Sleeping Prophet. He was able to go in a trance-like state where he could have out-of-body experiences, see the spiritual realm, and help cure other people from their physical ailments. And he's got tens of thousands of recorded cases of helping and entering this state. And he's taught other people how to do it, how to have past life regressions and see, their soul's journey. And so I'm going to take the online course and see what I can learn and get from it. This is recommended by an old gentleman friend of mine who also was able to have all of these incredible out-of-body experiences, past life regret, and one of the most spiritually developed people I've ever met. And so he recommends that I take this course, and I think I'm going to do that. I want to finish reading Operation Gladio and at least 2 more books. This year was the plan. Well, that was what was planned, was to finish these big, complicated books, but it's going to be more time consuming than I expected, especially because I can't get through that many pages of this book. I get through about 10 pages before my mind is overwhelmed with all of the revelations of information and corruption and how it all connects together. And so it's a really good book. When I finish reading this book, if there are no good docu-series on YouTube, I might have to make that content myself, because the world needs to know what's here in this book. And there is a chance that if there are no good video project series on, explaining the contents of this book, that might be something I have to do myself. Another thing I could do is videoify my weekly reports. I think that would make the content more easy to consume than just reading, browsing the post that I make reference to. I think it would be a good idea to, I think it would be a good